Good morning, class 9 students. I welcome you all on this online platform provided by Jagriti Classes. We were doing chapter 6 of class 9th, that is tissues. So in the last video lecture, we have described the basic functions or the basic properties of connective tissues. In the last video, we have completed that animal tissues, the first category of animals, that is epithelial tissues. We have discussed all kinds of epithelial tissues which are present in animals. So the next kind of category or the next kind of tissues which we'll study would be connective tissues. And I told you in the previous class about connective tissues, what are their basic structural features. So now we'll be starting with the first connective tissue. And remember, in the connective tissue, these are classified into different types which are based on what? Type of matrix. And everything this has been discussed in the previous lecture. So we'll be starting or beginning our class today with the first connective tissue, that is blood. So the first point in blood is, it is a fluid connective tissue. You all know that blood has a fluid or a liquid character. So this blood is your fluid connective tissue. Okay? And because it is fluid in nature, why is the blood fluid or liquid in nature? Because the matrix of blood is itself liquid. So you say that this would be your A point. The next point in blood would be its matrix. I told you that matrix can be of different kinds. The matrix may be solid, it may be jelly-like, or it may be clear liquid. So here the matrix of blood is liquid or fluid, you can say. It's one and the same thing. Now next is what? In the blood we have, or I can classify blood into two kinds. Actually I am not classifying blood itself into two categories. I want to explain you the structural features of blood. So we can say that structurally this blood, we can say that we can divide it in two categories or two parts. First one would be the liquid part of blood, and next one would be different cells present in your blood. And these cells, blood cells, are also called corpuscle. So you can say your blood contains two structural features. It has a liquid part and it has different cells. Now this liquid part, it is approximately 80 to 85% of the total blood volume. And this liquid part is called as plasma. Okay, the liquid part of blood is referred to as plasma. Whereas we have different kinds of cells in our blood. And this all you have also read in junior classes. So you have three different kinds of cells. First one is your RBC, that is red blood cell. RBCs are called red blood cells. Then you have the next type of cells, which is WBC. WBC are called the white blood cells. And the next type of cells which are present are known as platelets. So these are the three different kinds of cells present in your blood, and remaining blood contains the liquid part, or you can say plasma. And now you can see in the diagram, this image refers to the diagram of fluid connective tissue, that is blood. Okay, so this is a diagram of blood. You can see that you know that blood flows in blood vessels, inside these vessels. So if I cut open a vessel, then the blood which you say consists of these parts. It has plasma and then it has three different kinds of cells in it. So this yellow colored liquid which you are seeing is your plasma here. Okay, so this yellow colored liquid is the plasma content or the liquid content of blood. And next you can see that these you have these spherical red structures. These are your red blood cells. That means these are the RBCs present in the blood. The next you have these structures which are called white blood cells, or you can call them WBC. And the next, that is platelets. See these structures. These are the platelets. So you can say that all these cells are suspended into your plasma. That is, they float in the plasma. And plasma along with all these three cells are referred by a common name, that is blood. So this is the composition of your blood, that is your fluid connective tissue. Now seeing about their functions. What are the functions of each component? So describing it in short, because you are given in very brief, okay? So we'll be strictly limited to the syllabus which we are provided. So the function of plasma, first I say, then it is the fluid part of the cells. It helps different bloods. It is the fluid part of blood, sorry. And it has different cells, blood cells, which can float in the plasma. So the main function of plasma is to transport sugars, amino acids, or you can say hormones, enzymes, okay, and different gases from throughout the body. So it transports sugars, amino acids, hormones, enzymes, gases, that is every material. It also transports waste material from one part of the body, that is from one cell to different cell. So this is the function of plasma. It helps in transportation. It transfers various substances throughout the body. Now this is the function of your plasma, that is the liquid content. Now you know that what are the functions of RBC, WBC and platelets. RBC, these are called red blood cells. Why they are appearing red in color? Because they contain hemoglobin pigment. RBC appear red in color because they contain hemoglobin. And hemoglobin is your red colored pigment. And what is the role of this hemoglobin? This hemoglobin attaches oxygen with itself and then it transports oxygen. So this is the role of hemoglobin, okay? This hemoglobin is very rich in iron. It is made up of iron and protein. So this is the function of hemoglobin. Now coming to white blood cells. Because they do not have any such colored pigment, hence they appear white in color and called white blood cells. What is the main function of white blood cells? These white blood cells help to protect our body against diseases, okay? So these protect our body against disease causing organisms, or you can say it protects against the pathogens. Pathogens are bacteria, virus which cause disease in your body. So these WBC help to protect our body against diseases or against any foreign particle, any external particle which wants to enter our body. If that foreign particle is new to our body, then these WBC act as soldiers and they fight with that external particle so that the external matter cannot cause any harm to our body. So in turn, they are also called the soldiers of the body. These WBC are called soldiers. Now platelets. The main functions of platelets is they help in clotting of blood. What do you mean by clotting? Whenever you get any kind of injury, wound or cut, okay, if you get a simple cut on your skin, then blood flows out from the skin continuously. But after some time, if you wait for some time, then you will notice that blood automatically stops flowing out. So this is called the clotting of blood. Because the cells present on the injured skin, they help in these platelets. They combine together and they form a thin membrane so that now no more blood loss occurs from your body. So this mechanism is known as clotting of blood. And platelets are responsible for blood clotting. Blood clotting, you can write, that is prevent the loss of blood from injured part or from our body. And who is responsible for this function? Platelets. So this was an account of blood. Okay, you have to remember that it is a fluid connective tissue and the type of matrix found in blood is liquid. Then I told you the different types of cells and the liquid part of blood. Now moving to the next. Our next second connective tissue is bone. You know what are bones? Bones form the skeleton of our body. So we can say bone is your another type of connective tissue found in organisms, that is animals. Then the next you can say the function of bone is it provides a framework to our body. framework means it provides a, you can say it provides a skeletal framework. You know, different kinds of bones from head to toe join together and form your skeleton system. And importance of bone is very much. They help to provide mechanical strength, and they also help to provide our body with support. So they provide mechanical strength and support to your whole body. The next one, we say that in every connective tissue you have to study about the matrix, the type of matrix involved. So in bone, we have a very hard, this bone has a hard and solid matrix. Bone contains a very hard and solid matrix. And this matrix is composed of, or you can say made up of, calcium and phosphate, calcium and phosphorus. So the matrix of bone is very hard and solid in nature. Why it is so harder in nature? Because this is in turn made up of very hard chemical compounds, that is calcium and phosphorus. And you know, calcium and phosphorus are responsible for providing you with power or with rigidity. So you can say that its another function is it provides rigidity to organisms' body. So these are the functions of bone, its structural features. Now as you can see in the diagram, you have two terms, that is ligament and tendons. So these are very important, and this comes under the heading of bone only. So what do you mean by ligaments and tendons here? We have 2 points, that is ligaments, and then you have tendons. So ligaments are the tissues, you can say, which joins two bones together. That is, when a bone is joined with another bone, it is joined with the help of ligament. Ligaments are present in the junction between two bones. You can see in the diagram, if you observe, this is your one bone which is given. It is written femur. Femur is your thigh bone, okay? So this is your thigh bone. And the next bone is here. This is your lower leg bone. So in this you can see that this is your another bone of leg. These two bones are joined by a fibrous tissue, and this fibrous tissue is known as ligament. So this joining or connecting link between two bones is called ligament. So you have to remember, ligament join a bone to bone, that is B to B. Whereas tendons are also a kind of connective tissues, but these join a muscle to the bone. Okay, see, these are your muscles. These are written quadriceps muscles, and then you have a bone here. This is a bone, tibia. Okay, it is your leg bone, and these are the quadriceps muscles, that is the muscles present in your thighs. So these muscles are joined to your leg bone, tibia, by this structure. Can you see this gray part? This gray part is known as tendon, and tendons are responsible for connecting a muscle to a bone. So remember, when you have bone connected to bone, you have the connection through ligaments. But when you have a muscle connected to the bone, then it is joined with the help of tendons. So tendons connect your muscles to bone. Now other differentiating features between ligaments and tendons would be, ligaments have, or ligaments show elasticity, you can say stretching ability or flexibility, while these tendons, they show limited flexibility or limited elasticity. But the next point, ligaments are less strong, okay? They have less strength as compared to tendons. Their strength is very high. And these are the fibrous tissue or the fibrous structures which help in attachment of muscles to bones. So this was a difference between ligaments and tendons, and a detailed account of bone, which was your second connective tissue. Now next connective tissue which we have to study is cartilage. So cartilage is again a type of connective tissue. This cartilage is present in ears, nose, then it is also found in larynx. Okay, you can say it is also present in trachea, etc. So these are the different locations where this connective tissue cartilage is present. Then the next point would be the cells of cartilage. Cells are widely spaced. What do you mean by the term widely spaced? That is, they have high amount of intercellular spaces. The cells are well separated from each other. They have high amount of intercellular spaces. High amount of intercellular spaces in them. Then the next point, the third point would be, because they have high amount of intercellular spaces, this means the force of attraction present between the cells is very less. So you can say that forces present between the cells are comparatively less in magnitude, and therefore because the forces between the cells are less in magnitude and they are present separated away from each other, these two properties give the cartilage its flexibility. So it is a flexible kind of tissue. It is a flexible tissue. Okay? That is, flexible means it is a flexible, and you can say flexible and elastic tissue. The next what you have, because it is flexible, then you can bend the parts wherever this tissue is present. So body parts containing cartilage, body parts containing this tissue can be easily bent. And as you can see, this is the diagram of nose. And in the nose, this grey colored portion is all your cartilage. Okay? So here we have our nasal bone on the apical part, that is here. This portion is made up of the nasal bone. So you cannot bend this portion. But remember, this grey colored part, that is after your nasal bone, this part is made up of cartilage, and hence because this is made up of cartilage is a flexible and elastic tissue, you can easily bend it. So we can bend our nose, we can bend our ears, because see, I am easily able to turn my ears. Why? Because it is made up of cartilage. So in ears, nose, larynx, everything we have made up of cartilage here, and this cartilage, because it is flexible, it can be easily bent without breaking. If you try to bend your nose, it would not break, okay? But if you try to bend this nasal bone part of the nose, it would break if you apply maximum force. So this is the account of cartilage. And yes, writing about the matrix in every connective tissue, please remember to include the point of matrix. So in this, the matrix is again solid, but because you know, in the bones also matrix was solid, here also matrix is solid. But in the bones it was very hard because it was made up of calcium and phosphorus. Whereas in this solid matrix of cartilage is made up of proteins. Proteins and sugars, you can say. So these proteins and sugar give it a solid feature, solid state, but it does not provide it with the hardness and rigidity. So the difference is just that both the matrix are solid, but in the bones matrix is made up of very hard substances, calcium, phosphorus, whereas here the matrix is made up of proteins. In turn, we can bend our parts containing cartilage. Now moving to the next one. Now we have completed with the connective tissue. Okay, before this we have two more kinds of connective tissue, that is areolar tissue. So this is again a kind of connective tissue found in animals. So areolar tissue, actually if you have seen that delicate parcels which we receive, okay, whenever we order or shop, then that delicate parcels, like delicate means parcels made up of glass and everything, okay, delicate materials, then they get covered or they come, when we receive it and open, you will find a bubble wrap covering. Have you ever observed? And we find very fun while we are breaking the bubbles. So that bubble wrap covering is just similar to your areolar tissue. Why the gift articles or the delicate parcels are covered under bubble wrap covering? Because that polythene containing air bubbles, okay, it prevents your article from breaking. If any shock, let's suppose this is your article covered in bubble wrap, and if any shock is applied while transportation, so to minimize the chances of breaking, it is covered in bubble wrap. If it would get a shock, then those bubbles would break and the shock will not be transported to the article or your parcel. So similar is the case with areolar tissue. Areolar tissue, they contain air cavities in them. Air cavities, you know, empty spaces which are occupied or filled by air. So they contain air cavities within their structure. Air cavities means empty spaces filled with air. And these areolar tissue are found or present between skin and muscles generally. Then these are also present as an external covering to the delicate body organs, okay. So these are present as an external covering to the delicate internal organs. So these are the points where they are found, where these are present, and these contains air cavities. Now their function, what is the function of areolar tissue? So this areolar tissue helps to prevent the organs or body parts from external mechanical shocks and injuries. So the function would be areolar tissue protects body organs from external shocks, and you can say also from the mechanical injuries. So this is the function of areolar tissue which you have with you. This is again a type of connective tissue and it contains air cavities, that is spaces filled with air. These are found between skin and muscles as a covering to your delicate organs, and it protects the organ from getting damaged or injured. Now the next connective tissue, the last one which you have, is adipose tissue. So what do you mean by adipose tissue? This adipose tissue is present between your skin, okay, below your skin. So we can say the first point would be adipose tissue is present under the skin. Then the next point would be, as it is a tissue, we know that tissues are made up of a group of cells. So a single cell of this adipose tissue is called as adipocyte. So we can say that group of adipocytes, cells comprise or constitute our adipose tissue. I have already explained this, that we have this adipose tissue. You know, tissue is a combination or a group of similar cells. So the cells of this adipose tissue are called adipocytes. And the main function of this adipose tissue is storage of fat. So we say that it stores fat and it is present below the skin. So this would store fat below your skin, that is below your epithelium. So it stores fat, and this fat is stored in the form of fat globules. So this adipose tissue stores fat in form of fat globules. Fat globules means the spherical fat particles, okay, what you have with you. Next, what we have, that it stores fat, and the quantity of fat is different in different organisms. And in turn, this adipose tissue storing fat, this fat layer also helps as an insulator for our body. And this is also present in other organisms. This adipose tissue is highly developed in the organisms which are found in colder habitats. That is, you can say, for example, in polar bears, they have a layer of fat, and this is what a kind of adipose tissue in them. But this adipose tissue is of much width in them, that is, it is thick in nature in the animals which survive in polar regions like polar bear. So it helps to prevent them from getting cold, or it helps to provide insulation or warmth to their body. So adipose tissue, it functions as an insulation. Or what do you mean by insulation? Insulation means it functions as a warmth providing layer. So this is the account of adipose tissue. That was your last connective tissue given in the books. So adipose tissue, remember, it is the fat storing tissue, and it stores fat in the form of globules. Okay, a direct question is frequently asked in exam, that which tissue is called as fat storing tissue? Answer would be adipose tissue. So this is very frequently asked in examinations. And then you should remember that it stores fat in the form of fat globules, and this fat layer provides insulation to the organism. This is enough if you have a question about adipose tissue. Moving on to the next. Now, what we have to study, the third category of tissue found in animals, which is your muscular tissue. Okay, this is the third category of tissue which we have in animals. The first one was epithelium, we have discussed in the previous class. Then the connective tissue we have completed now, and then moving on to the third category, that is muscular tissue. Before this, we can add some general features about muscular tissue. So muscular tissue, this tissue is made up of cells which are called muscular fibers. Again, we know that it is a kind of tissue. Then this tissue would be made up of group of cells, and each cell is known as muscle fiber. So we can say that each cell of this muscular tissue is known as muscle fiber. Then you have this muscular tissue is generally present in fibrous forms. So the next point which we can include is its cells are generally fibrous in structure. Fibrous means they are in the form of network of threads. And the next point here in muscular tissue would be, muscular tissue contains several specific proteins, and these proteins serve as the function of contraction and relaxation of muscles. So muscular tissue are made up of cells which are called muscle fibers. These cells are generally fibrous. Not every time, they are generally observed to be fibrous in nature. Fibrous means present in the form of network of threads. And the next is, they contain, these muscular tissue or the cells, you can say, they contain specific proteins which provide elasticity to them or flexibility to your muscular tissue. And in turn, because these proteins provide elasticity, then these muscle tissue help in contraction and relaxation of different parts. So these help in contraction and relaxation of different body parts. Okay, so this was a general introduction of your muscular tissue. And you know that the cells help in contraction and relaxation. Contraction means decrease in length, relaxation means increase in the length. So we say that the basic function of these muscular tissue is what? These help in movement of body parts. So this muscular tissue is responsible for movement of different body parts. If we didn't have this muscular tissue or muscles in our body, then we would not be able to move. We would not show any kind of movement. We would behave similar to the plants, because plants and us, what is the common thing? Plant also has many tissues which provide them strength, mechanical strength, and we also have bones in our body which function to provide our body with the support or mechanical strength. So the tissues of plants can be compared to the bones which we have in our body or to the bones which are present in animals. But plant does not have any tissues for movement. So they cannot move and they remain fixed to one particular place. But we can move. Yes, you can see I am moving. You can move your different body parts. Like for speaking, you move your lower jaw. Upper jaw is immovable. So this muscular tissue is responsible for the movement. This is a gift provided by God to us. That is, it helps in the movement of organisms from one place to another place. And why this is associated with movement, if I try to explain you that, then consider you have only a bone in your hand and no type of muscles would be present. Then can you move your bone? The answer would be no. This movement which you are able to do, this is not because of the bones. The bone is only providing it a definite structure. But when, let's suppose this is a bone. If only this bone would be present in our body part, then we would not be able to move it. The function of bone we discussed now was to give support or mechanical strength. Just it provides you rigidity. But if I attach muscles with the bones, if this bone needs to undergo movement, then what should I do? I should attach some muscles. Muscles are fibers, so consider these fingers to be the threads or fibrous muscular tissue. Whenever these muscle fibers are attached to the bone, now the muscles have the property of what? Contraction and relaxation. That is, these muscles can decrease and increase in size. So when these muscles are attached with your bone, now when the muscles will decrease in size, that is like this, then it would move your bone downwards. And when they would increase in size, the bone would move upwards. So these muscles are providing the force for the movement down and up. The bone itself does not move. You can only break the bone off. Okay, bone is not responsible for showing any kind of movement. But here these muscle fibers present with the bone is responsible for providing movement. That is, whenever the muscles contract, decrease in size, they push the bone which is attached to them towards downside, and whenever they expand, then they will push this bone towards them. So the bone will also move with the muscle. So hence we say that muscles are responsible for providing movement and bones were only responsible to provide our body with the mechanical strength. So these are the general features of muscles. Let's revise them once more. Muscular tissue. Because we have tissue, what do you mean by the term tissue? We have done this in the starting of this unit. Tissues are a group of cells which have similar structure and they perform the same function. So these are called tissues. And because these will be made up of a group of cells, so each cell of this tissue is known as muscle fiber. Then the next point is what? These cells are generally fibrous in structural appearance. So these are kind of fibrous in nature. Then the next you have, they contain some special proteins which provide the muscle flexibility or elasticity. So these special proteins are also called as contractile proteins. These are called contractile proteins. Then the next point would be these contractile proteins help in contraction and relaxation of muscles or of different body parts wherever you have muscles. And the last was these are responsible for movement, as I explained you in detail why muscles are said to be responsible for movement. So now next is what? You can classify this muscle into 3 different categories. So you have 3 types of muscular tissue. The first one is your striated muscular tissue. Then the second would be your smooth muscles or smooth muscular tissue. And the next is cardiac muscles or cardiac muscular tissue. Now we'll see all these 3 tissues in detail. Why they are named so, what is their structures, how many nucleus they have, what are their special functions, either they are branched or they are unbranched in nature. So we'll discuss everything and their different names. That is, this striated is also called skeletal. So we should know why it is called as, named as striated, and then why it is named as your skeletal muscle. Both the names are given to the first category, that is, both are same tissues. You can either refer to them as striated or you can say them skeletal. So these are the 3 kinds of muscular tissues which you have with you. Okay, the first one, the first category is skeletal. Then the next one is, you can see it is written smooth muscles. So the next category is smooth, and the last one is cardiac. So these are the 3 different types of tissues present in animals. Skeletal, you can see this is called skeletal. So first point would be, it is also known as, this tissue is also known as striated muscular tissue. Okay, the first point in this would be smooth. This smooth is also known as, it is also called as unstriated or non-striated muscular tissue. Non-striated muscular tissue. The next one would be cardiac. Cardiac is a kind of smooth muscular tissue, and we can say that these are the muscular tissue present in heart. And where they would be present in your heart? In the walls of heart. So these are the muscular tissue present in walls of heart. Okay, now we'll see in the next class why they are known as skeletal and why they are called striated. Then you can observe it in the diagram also. These are cylindrical in shape. The shape of this is spindle shaped. Wherever these are cylindrical, then what's the difference? These are also cylindrical, skeletal is also cylindrical. The difference is skeletal are not branched, but these you can say they are interlinked, or they have a branch structure. Then you will see that what are the functions, different functions performed by these tissues, and in the end we'll be dealing with nervous tissue, which would be the last tissue, and then we'll finally be completing this unit also. So if you have any kind of doubt till this class, okay, see all the videos in a systematic manner, and then also if you have any doubt you can contact us. Thank you for joining the class today.